I've loved every step of the way with MD for Men, and I would hope that you would consult with them, your own doctor, if not them. But it's been a tremendous process over here. It's been a tremendous bunch of people, and I'm extremely happy with MD for Men.
How are you doing? How's the summer?
Doing fantastic. Thank you very much.
What are you up to?
Oh, just, well, not working yet. I've got this leg muscle that I've got to get corrected, and I'm due to go back to work next week. Been off for a few, they operated on my back. And so it's been a little bit of a challenge to get this nerve going back in the foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming in and talking. I
Oh.
think it's amazing, and you're amazing, and I appreciate your energy. I think
Well,
it's special.
thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Maybe just it'd be helpful. Just tell a little bit about where you were before.
Okay.
I guess for you, how important is your sexual health?
Very, very important. I'm single here, but I've got a long distance relationship going in Texas, and maybe here. But it is important to me, and I suffered ED. I don't even know how long, because it's so insidious and it sneaks up on you. Because I know myself. There were times when too much wine with dinner. Gosh, I've had a hard day. Little excuses keep creeping in, and after a while, you have to face the fact that it's got to be something a little more serious than that. And I also was diagnosed with enlarged prostate, and we tried to correct that with laser, which didn't work. So I went with the old-fashioned roto-rooter, which I call the roto-rooter, and that did work. Thank you very much. In fact, it worked extremely well, and I'm very, very pleased with that. At that time, the most important thing in life was, where's the next restroom? So the sex end of it sort of took a back street or back chair to everything else. But then it became more and more important to me, and so I'm just tickled to death that I found you, attended the meeting, got the information, went on the internet, looked a little more, and I think it was the next day I came back in and said, visit with you a little bit, and said, let's do it. And I've been extremely pleased with the outcome. It's pretty amazing. My partner's extremely happy also. In the interim, or before, we had tried everything. Viagra, Cialis. Cialis was probably better. Viagra had some side effects, but both of them were, temporary and just not completely satisfactory. And we looked at the injection, which I dismissed immediately. In fact, she fainted when we talked about that, and I'm glad she did. The pump, the vacuum pump, it was sort of a fun thing initially. I think she got a big kick out of it than I did, but it was too cumbersome, too messy, and just sort of interrupted the natural flow of communications and foreplay. So those were discarded, but this new penis implant is just absolutely fantastic.
When you at your lowest point with erectile dysfunction or ED,
Mm-hmm.
how did it affect you? I mean, when you knew that, was there a point where you felt like, I mean, how did it affect you knowing that you had erectile dysfunction and you couldn't be who you wanted to be sexually?
Right. And it affected me in more ways than I ever thought possible. It's really insidious. It affects everything you do. Your whole demeanor is lessened somewhat, and it's got to show up in every extension of your personality, or at least it did with me. I've been in business for myself for a long time, and I know that I became less aggressive in every respect, sexually and across the board. I mean, I can't tell you how depressing it is, and how it literally sneaks up on you and becomes a way of life. And now, looking back, it's easy to see that, wow, this is much more extensive than initially just the sex end of it. So it's debilitating, if you will, to a degree.
How are you now? Well, I guess maybe let's go back a little bit, which is, what have you seen to be the biggest advantages of the penile implant?
Obviously, the biggest is anytime I want, it's available. And I mean, even silly things like laying in bed and making a tent. You know, that's, wow, I can do that again. Stuff you did as a teenager or a youngster or a young man. It's most appreciated, I think, because as a teenager in school, you had the erection at the wrong time. Would you come to the head of class and tell us so? No, doc, I've got an earache and it affects my balance. I mean, you make up excuses. Well, now it's, okay, I'm ready anytime. So it's just a wonderful feeling.
Logistically, how do you and your partner kind of integrate the penile implant into your sex lives?
Oh gosh, she likes to do the pumping now. And I mean, it is. It's a fun thing to just do all. Sex is so much. Well, gosh, it's so much interaction with you both that I feel like she's. Well, I know she's much happier, but she's also more excited, more into everything, because it's just we know we can do it anytime we want. So it's taking advantage of a situation. If you find yourself in an elevator that not going anywhere, silly things like that. So it's terrific.
And for the surgery itself, or the procedure, can you tell us a little bit about, from start to finish, the day of, and then kind of
Okay.
how your recovery was?
All right. Well, first of all, as you know, I slept through the actual procedure itself, but and you kept me overnight in the hospital. The stay was nice, and it was surprising. I took 4 days off from work, and actually could have gone back probably the third day, but anyway, the initial use was sort of dramatic, I guess, and traumatic. Scared the hell out of me, because the pump is a very stiff material, and the first time I tried to squeeze it, I thought, man, this is uncomfortable. In fact, it's like, ouch. But then it was that was over and done with in a very few moments, I guess. And
from the time of surgery, when did you actually first start using the penile implant for sex?
Oh, for sex? Oh gosh, I'm terrible on dates, but let's see, it was March 31st. No, it wasn't. It was, what was it? It was May, sometime. Anyway, gosh, it must have been 4 or 5 weeks afterwards.
Okay. Yeah. And when did you actually start cycling it on your own? Not for sex, but just inflating it, deflating?
I was doing that the first few days. And I think that was one of the instructions, was to try to inflate it as often as you can. And so yeah, I was doing that almost immediately. And loving it.
What was your biggest fear or fears regarding the procedure?
I don't think I would classify it as a fear, because I did spend some time with you discussing it, went on the internet, looked at it, and I felt comfortable. I felt comfortable with everything, making the decision and going into So I really didn't have any fear as such. Concern, that's why I did the study and went on the internet and so forth. But no, it's been no real fear.
How important was it for you to go through pills, vacuum erection device, injections, before making the decision for a penile implant? Or do you think that you could have or could not have just gone straight to a penile implant? Or would you encourage other guys to look at that sooner, or to go through the algorithm of all those other options?
I did go through it, but that was only because I wasn't aware of the penile implant. Had I known at the time, and we say the Viagra and the Cialis, that was a simple, try it and see what works. The injection, I just outright rejected that altogether. The pump, well, I went through those steps because I was not aware of the penile implant. So as soon as I became aware of that, that seemed to have the most practical use of all.
Why do you think men, not just yourself, but so many men don't know about penile implant technology?
Well, I think primarily because the advertising is so strong for the pills, and now that competitor that we've got is doing injections, I understand. They do a lot of advertising. I don't think I don't recall really seeing much advertising at all for the penile implant. And I think that's the big difference. It really does make a difference. They spend, millions and millions on Viagra, Cialis. You see that all over the place, and that's got to make a difference. Everybody's, oh yeah, okay, I can pop a pill, no big deal. So it's got to be the advertising and getting the word out to the people that experience ED.
And you've spoken to the fact that the penile implants allows you to have spontaneity again.
Mm-hmm.
You also used a word before, staying power.
Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Not just for you, but also for your partner.
Right. Oh, that's extremely important, because now it's never a question of, well, I guess probably every man in the world thinks that maybe that was a fake orgasm by the companion, but now it's no, it's real because you're not finished before she. I mean, so it allows so much better toe play and everything else. So it's great. In fact, I get a chuckle out now every time Cialis or Viagra ends their advertisement with, if you have an erection over 4 hours, call a doctor. No, I think I'll call NBC and CBS. And, now, if I want it up all day long, that's not a problem. So that 4 hours is sort of silly now.
Is there any activity that you cannot do now because of the penile implant?
No.
Or can you do everything you normally want to do physically? Sports, hiking?
Oh yeah,
working?
there's no, no, the only thing I couldn't do, I guess, would be lay on my stomach without pole vaulting off the bed. No, there's no restricted activities whatsoever. So.
Okay, great. And there are thousands of men out there who are struggling with erectile dysfunction. And if you had to send them a message or provide them with insight or support, what would you tell them?
Oh gosh, look at all your options and do something. It's not going to change unless you do something. I picked that up from maybe you. So do something for sure. And if one of the other options works for you, fine and dandy. But this is the best one I've found. The penile implant, by far and away.
Now, we've created a place called MD for Men, and obviously trying to create a place that men can be comfortable about to talk about these sensitive issues.
Mhm.
I guess maybe share with us a little bit about your experience here, but the staff, the environment.
Oh, it's been great. You guys have been wonderful. And I think that's the big problem. Men don't communicate well regarding this issue. So it's not something you talk about in the gym or, with other men. In fact, they're extremely reluctant to talk at all. And that's always a problem. So coming here is gosh, like opening up a whole new world, because everything is so upfront, clearly stated. There's no confusion about items. It's pretty well straightforward, and it's a comfortable feeling to finally express what needs to be expressed and get explained everything that needs to be explained. And I think you've done a great job there, and that's the reason I felt very comfortable in going with this program. My name is Collier, and I am a happy man. I love my new life, and I mean that sincerely. I love my new penis, which has led to my new life, because I'm comfortable with my sexuality now, and it's made a terrific difference in my whole life. It's really affected everything I do, and it's been a wonderful process.